Hello everyone and welcome to session 5 of this iPad music production course as part of the Make, Do, Create events for Wheelworks. In this one we are going to have a look at arranging our track. So up to this point we have put in some external sounds from some other apps, used some loops that come with GarageBand, used some of the synths, edited some audio, all that kind of stuff. And so far what we've been doing is really just stacking everything on top of each other within the default 8-bar section that GarageBand gives us. But what we really want to do at this point is then start turning this into a song, because our 8 bars here are maybe, I don't know, 15 seconds, something like that. So there's no song that is going to last for 15 seconds. So we want to start turning this into a full track. So in this video we're going to have a look at some of the techniques to do that. So a couple of little things that I want to do first is I'm not sure that I want all of this beat. So if I have a listen to this beat again, let me just press play here. Okay, and then let's solo this, have a listen. Okay, so I'm just not really that keen on that little cowbell thing. So before I start arranging this track, I'm going to change that and I'll show you why. So I'm going to click on this and just drag this back like so. And then let's delete this one. Now you're not deleting this altogether because this, if you remember, this loop did come from the Figure app in one of the earlier videos, so that the original loop still does exist within our loops in our music samples folder. So you're not getting rid of this altogether. We're just taking this down to just this tiny little bit that doesn't have that little cowbell in it, like so. So I'm going to click on this, I'm going to hit loop, I'm going to loop that up so we don't have that cowbell coming in now. Because I think it's a bit loud and it's a wee bit annoying. Not sure I want it all the time, so let's get rid of it. Yeah, I think that sounds much cleaner. Okay, so the only other thing that I'm going to do is just to make this a little bit easier. So we've got our little loop in here, but it's not like these where it's all just one big block. So what I'm going to do, just to make this a little bit easier to kind of work with, is I'm going to click on this track here, and then I'm going to click it again, and I'm going to select this option here, which is called Merge. So whenever I click on this, it's going to stick these all together. So it's going to create a new track that has all these kind of tracks stuck together as one block. So once I click on that, it'll select it. So we're kind of merging this one track and merging these all together into one block. And I'll just talk you through this. It comes up here saying using merge track automatically saves a version of this song before merging. So you will get a new version of your song, and I'll show you what I mean. So I'm going to click merge. And now it's going to duplicate the song and then merge that track together. So there's my track there as one loop. So it's just one big track like so, instead of all the little bits. But if we now go back out to where our song is, then there's the copy. So this is my Graham MDC track and Graham MDC track copy. So this is the one that has the original, you can see just in the little icon there, the original track that has all the little separate parts, and then this is the new one. So it saves a copy just in case you want to go back to that. So now what we're going to do is we're going to make this track a lot longer than it already is. So I'm going to do that with this little button up top here. Top right hand corner there's a little plus, and if we click on that, we can now see that we're looking at section A, and that section A is 8 bars long. And I can do a couple of different things here. I can add a brand new section in there. So we've got section B, and you can see in behind here, this is section A, and then you've got little b there, this is section B. B currently has nothing in it. So if you want to add a new section to your track and then start putting some new stuff into it, then by all means, go ahead. But in this case, what we want to do is to take the loops that we've already got and to duplicate it. So I'm just going to get rid of this section B because I don't need it. So I'm going to click Edit, and then you get this little red dot here. We can click that, click on Delete, and there's section B is gone. All right, so the other thing that we can do here is duplicate this section. But before I duplicate the section, I'm just going to click here so I can show you this. So what we can do then is change the length of this. So if I wanted my section A to actually be 16 bars, then I can do that and then click away like so, and then it'll make it twice as long. So you have got options there if you want to just make that longer, and we'll maybe do that later on in the track. So I'm going to take that back down to 8. We're going to go back out here, and then what I'm going to do is duplicate this. So I can just keep duplicating a few times just to build up the kind of start portion of my track. So I'm going to click all sections, because if I'm on section E and then I click here, then it just zooms in and shows you section E, which can be handy if you want to just work on section E. But then you can go back here and click all sections, and now you're looking at all of them. So now our track is like 5 times longer than it was because we've just duplicated that section 5 times. So what can be really handy here is whenever we duplicate that, we can then just start taking bits out. So say, for example, I don't want this drum track here at the start. I can just click on it again, and delete it. So we can just start deleting things out. So definitely don't want that synth. So delete. We definitely don't want this part here. So we can delete. And in fact, we're going to take this out for all of these. Just start deleting these out like so, and then maybe my hat, I'm just going to make it half the size and drag it over like that. Okay, there's a strange things going on with the bass here, so let's just drag this over and check. There we go. So even though we do have MIDI notes in that bass, whenever we duplicated that, it didn't duplicate it over. So I'm just going to get rid of this. And let's delete that out. And let's delete all of these. Because you can see there that there's no information in that at all. So strange little glitch there. Might not happen to you, hopefully not. But if you do, just take them out like I am here. And then I'm just going to drag that one over there. So I think my bass isn't going to come in until this point. And then we can loop that just to fill it out. Okay, so now we can take this back, press play, and hear what it sounds like. There we go. So I think it kind of feels to me like something needs to happen here. So whenever you're making any kind of popular music, especially electronic music like this, then the tendency is that like every 8 bars or 16 bars, something different is going to happen. So it feels like something different needs to happen here. But what I'm going to do is just do a tiny little bit of editing here on this drum beat. So I'm going to pull this right back to the start. I'm just going to zoom in, have a closer look at this. So we're just looking at 1 bar. And if we just play this back, like that. So I'm going to take this right back to 1 bar, and then I'm going to split this in the middle because I don't want this hat bit at the start. In fact, we'll leave that hat just to come in later. So I'm going to click on this, go up to split, drag this down, so we now have 2 sections. Then this one, I'm going to delete it, and then this we will loop. There we go. So now it'll just be that single beat. like that. And you can get into little sort of micro edits. If you go into here, we can select here again. We can go split that like so. And we've got a beat there, so we can go split again. And then once again, split and just chop this all up into tiny little bits. So we can take that out. There's our snare. And we can copy and paste that in like so. So then you just get a tiny little thing right at the very end that just sort of doubles up the snare. So you just get that nice little additional little beat there as it moves into the next phrase, the next 8 bars. Here, this is a tiny little edit, but it does make a difference, you know. Okay, so I think that works. What we can then do is have a look at how we're going to make this feel a little bit more interesting. So I'm going to get my bass, I'm just going to drag it back to here because I think that this is where my bass is going to drop in. But before I do that, I'm going to get a tiny little bit of my merged tracks here. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to move it. If we move the bit play locator, I'm going to drop this in here. But I'm only going to use a tiny little bit of it. So let's have a look if we play this through. So it's way, way too loud. Let's turn that down on our merge track there and have a listen. So I think what I'm going to do is with this one, I'm going to move the play locator up to there. And then let's put a little split like so, and then let's get rid of this. And then if we move this forward, let's put another split in there. And let's move it forward again. Another split there, another split there. And now we can get rid of these ones. Like so. So we're just creating a little beep in that second bit. Let's just get the volume down a little bit. And that just gives us a little kind of preview of what's going to happen in these bits whenever they come in. It's nice just to build that up with something, a tiny little snippet of what's going to come in later, just as a little tease. Okay, so next thing that we want to do, and then you can use that same technique to kind of chop up any of your little beats or bass things or whatever, just to make variations of things that are coming in later. Next thing that we're going to do is I'm going to put a wee drop in here. So I'm going to take this out. Click on it, delete, click on this. No, well, you're going to leave that one in, but we're going to take this, and let's get the hi-hats out of this one. We're going to take this section here, we're going to copy it, and we're going to paste this in here. So it's just the kick in there, like so. We've taken out our hats out of there completely, but we are bringing in our bass at this point. But what I'm also going to do is to take out everything in here apart from the kick. So just in this loop. So this loop, if we solo it up, like so. So there's lots of hats and stuff going on in there. So I'm just going to, at this point, going to select section C because that's what we're editing in. Just get a closer look at that. And then I'm going to go in here and edit. So, we did this in a previous video where we looked at editing some of the notes, but the way that we do this is we want to go in here and take out these two sounds here, like so. So what we can do is click, and with our finger we can just drag over the notes that we want to take out, like so, so they're all highlighted. And in fact, there's one missing there, so I'm going to show you that again. So if I go back to the start here, and then just highlight over all of those. So I'm just dragging with my finger and highlighting over all of those. And then if I just tap on any of them, it'll come up with a delete option, and I can take those all out and then just click done, like so. So now within that section, we just have the kick drum, like that. So if I then go back to all sections, we can see that that's changed. Kick drum only, then the hats come back in here. So I'm just going to flick this open, take that out of solo, and then we can hear what that sounds like when it changes. Like so. So it actually sounds fine. It does sound a bit dry, that kind of the movement from there to there. So what we can do at this point then, this is how to fill out your arrangement. So it sounds fine kind of going from this section and moving into section B and then into section C. This is all fine, but we just need a bit of a dynamic thing to kind of join the dots between the end of section B and section C, so it doesn't sound just so blocky, you know, that we get to this point. And then once it changes to C, it just sounds like a real straight cut from one section to another. So we want something in here to kind of make that a bit more interesting. And we can do that by going into our loops. And then what we can do, you can see here that I was doing it before. If I just get rid of this, I can show you. So instead of going to instruments or genres or descriptors or anything like that, I can search in here and I can search for FX. And what I'll get here is like lots of different kind of effects and stuff that will work within our track. So if I say click on this one, there's lots of big boom effects and stuff that can be good. And little effects and things like that, little synthy things. So we can then go and grab something that just creates a nice transition. So let's try and find something. Yes, I think this riser will probably work. So if I click on that, drag it out like so, and we'll choose where we want to drop that in. So it's going to be from bar B here. And so let's just let that go. All right, so what we want to do is to edit this. So I only want this section here. So I want that riser to come in just before we get into section B or section C. So again, I'm just going to use my split tool. Whoops, sorry, click rename there. Let's click cancel. Into split. And then drag that down like so. Drag my split over to here. Drag that down. And then we can get rid of that one. And I think I'm just going to get rid of this. And then we'll drag that over like that. All right, so now if I take this back and we play this second section here from halfway through B, just going to drop the volume on the riser a bit. Yeah, I think that sounds pretty good, but we might just go and get one of those little booms as well. So we go back into the loop. And then let's go and find one of those little boomy effects. I think that'll work. Great, so we like that one. I'm going to drag that out and we're going to drop that in there. And then let's just take that back a wee bit. All right, so we just want to check the volume on that too. And then move that back like so. And it sounds much better. You've got that big boomy crash there. You've got the build up in here to kind of break you into that next section. And then you can just start copying and pasting these over and putting them in for your other sections. So if I paste that in there, then it's just going to, whenever these other things then start to come in, let's delete that one out, and it's just going to create more of an impact so those sections don't sound so blocky. There we are. So we can go back in here and go, right, well, section E, I'm just going to duplicate that out a few more times just to do the same thing, all sections like so. And then we can take, we then start to delete these out towards the end. And we're just breaking this back down again towards the end of the track. Like so. I'm actually going to loop this one up to the end here. All right, so one last thing that I'm going to show you here then before we finish is a little bit of automation. So automation means that you can program something. So say, for example, I'm playing this and I want the volume of this to gradually fade out. So I want this track to fade out. I just don't want it to stop. So I want this sound to gradually kind of fade out. I don't want it to just kind of end randomly or suddenly at a particular point. Then I can click on this track, click on it again, and then select this one called automation. So what this then allows me to do is to draw in lines to fade this out. So if I want to put in a line and then, or if I want to put in a point to fade this out, then I would go up to here to where the little pencil is, drag that over, and then now that allows me to click in some automation points like so. So if I click here, it puts in a little dot, and then if I click here, it'll put in another dot, and then I can grab this one and drag it down. So what this means is that it will then, I can drag that right over to the left like so. So this line shows you where the current volume setting is here. And whenever I put in these dots, it will then allow me to fade that out automatically. So that's why it's called automation, because you're automating that volume control. So I could maybe put in another one here and another one here. And then in this case, I'm going to zoom in there. I'm going to automate this to fade in at the start. So, and then just drag this in. So this means that over that, the first bit of that E section, that's gradually going to fade up. In fact, we could maybe make that a little bit longer of a fade, like so. So now whenever I play this, if I take this back here, press play, like that. So again, at the end, whenever it gets to here, it'll then start to fade out. Like that. So we can now click done. Now we've finished with our automation. And you can see that it shows you a little faint automation line there in your track, so you can kind of see where it's going. Okay, so what I have done here is I've only got up to section 8, so this maybe only lasts about a minute, but you can use these same techniques to then build your track up to 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes, however long you want it to be. So for example, we could take these, we're going to copy that and then paste those whoosh kind of samples in throughout those to just build up the effect. And again, the same with these. We can copy and paste those in at particular points throughout the rest of the track as well, just to kind of get those punctuations. So it's up to you. You can choose any of these kind of editing techniques, chopping your little parts up into different bits to create different variations of them, like I did with that and with that, and with these little beeps here. Also then bring in your effects and drop those in, those sort of boomy effects, by searching through your loops, and then using automation to kind of bring those sounds in and out by using by automating your volume control. And then your track will hopefully be, as I say, a lot longer than mine, but pretty much using the same techniques. Only thing that I would that I would say at this point is, if you are bringing in some new sounds, every new sound should have its own track. So say you bring in this one, you don't want to then drop it right next door to this sound, so you've got two sounds on the same track, because then when you're trying to mix the volume of it, one sound might be louder than the other, and the volume then setting here might not be appropriate for both of those sounds. So every individual sound that you have should have its own track. All right, that's about it for this week. Get into your GarageBand session, try out some of these techniques, start arranging your song out. So taking your loops and kind of spreading that out and turning it into a full track. We would love to hear what you're doing. So the email is up on the screen right in front of you at the moment. It's Tanya@wheelworksarts.com. Anything that you're doing, send it out to us. We would love to hear it. It'd be really, really awesome. And don't forget that my iPad course here is one of a load of different courses that are up on the Wheelworks YouTube at the moment as part of Make Do Create. There's lots of other amazing Northern Irish based artists that are out there creating lots of different creative courses for you to watch. There is new content 7 p.m. every night. You can go back and watch everything that has been up there. There's all the playlists are on the YouTube channel there. Go back and look at all the previous courses. There's lots of amazing stuff. And don't forget to tune in every night at 7 p.m. to see what the next video is going to be. And then finally, click the subscribe button. So like the videos, click the subscribe, so you're getting those notifications up in your YouTube feed, and you're not going to miss out on seeing the next videos that are coming out as part of Make Do Create. Okay, that's it from me. I will see you next week. Cheers. Bye.